Quilt people. I'm so over this whole thing. Plus, I'm not feeling well today, which is not awesome in itself. So, I hope I'm not getting sick, but we'll see. Thank you all to everybody who took the time to wish John and I a happy birthday. Much appreciated. And also for those who chimed in and sent us the best wishes for Mike as he was released from the hospital yesterday, a friend of ours. I posted that on Instagram just to kind of show people the reality of what it's like when someone's on a ventilator for 6 weeks and what it does to you physically. Mike was he is a very good looking man, and just being on a feeding tube and a ventilator for 6 weeks really takes a toll on the body. So let's just be mindful of those and what some people are going through. And if it hasn't affected you personally in your area, count your blessings, okay? So what are we doing today? I wanted to kind of move us forward on the next project and talk about kind of art quilts in and of themselves, and at least what they mean to me and my process of how I get started on that. So in terms of art quilts, I kind of break it down into two categories. One which is just, strictly an image, right? And then another one, which I'll show you in a minute, which is smaller bits of image created into more of a traditional quilt. Okay, so this is like what I kind of consider a full art quilt, and the other one is kind of a hybrid of between traditional and because it has some piecing in it and things like that, and art quilt. Okay, so this quilt I did after a friend of mine was murdered, and it was tough because not only did I find him, but also I had to go to court and essentially put his murderer away for life. And that was a very traumatic experience. Oh my gosh, I'll never forget that when they were putting, images of his dead body up on the screen, and I was there in front of the whole jury, and it was just like, I honestly thought I was going to lose my mind. That was one of the toughest things I've ever had to do. So I wanted to create a work that I wanted to create something that kind of was representative of his energy, soul, whatever you want to call it, being released to the universe. And so I had just taken this class on traditional Dresden plates. And I know I've talked about this a little bit before, but I'm just not a traditional Dresden plate kind of quilter, right? And so I had these Dresden plates left over that I thought were super cool because I love the way that the stripe is and everything. And so I wanted to use that in a more modern fashion, okay? And so I decided to have the image of the palm leaves, right, essentially opening up like this, like they were hands. Right? And that was kind of the image that I saw, right? And so from there, I kind of had the Dresden plates be like releasing his energy, right? Going out into the universe, however you want to explain that. So that was the idea behind this. I'm just going to show you a little bit more up close like we did with the Koi in the Moonlight project, and kind of show you some of the elements so that we can understand a few of those before we move on to the other type of art quilt, which I'm going to show you as well. So for the Dresden plates, and if you ever had a chance to do them, oh, and I got a double wide ruler Dresden plate as well somewhere that I really am dying to try out, but I just haven't had time, you know how it is. But anyways, so doing half of the Dresden plate, right, that part in a stripe was really giving a lot of movement, right, to them that I found super interesting. And that was also one of the reasons why I used this Dresden plate in this project because I wanted that to kind of, as the palms were releasing it, to show movement out into the universe. So that was the inspiration for this. And I wanted to show you a little bit about the quilting on the leaves as well, because I think it's, I just kind of made it up as I go, but it turned out super exactly what I wanted. It really reads how I wanted it to go. Okay, so let me show you that up close. Okay, so for this part, I just kept going right from the center out and then back, and then out and then back, and then out and then, right? It's just to get the kind of veining through the middle, because I kept repeating back to that and then coming back out, then back to that and then coming out, and then back to that and coming, right? And so that's how I kind of got, some of this type of, like the leaf veining, and then also, how leaves are. So I was trying to capture that, and I thought that turned out pretty good. I didn't quilt the Dresden plates too much, just because I kind of thought they had enough going on as they were. So I kind of did that in the ditch, so that doesn't show up a lot. And then the background I just did kind of, just regular kind of paisley type thing. But let me show you the other art quilt and kind of how I differentiate them. So this one is also a type of an art quilt, but it's not just one giant image, right? It speaks more to kind of a traditional quilt in that it has borders and sashing, and well, stop border, I guess, not really sashing. But I wanted to create this one for some friends in upstate New York, and I wanted to kind of, get the feeling of the Adirondacks, right? And so that was my hope with this type of image, and it's just a green cross with a crest, right, and then a duck, two bears, and then I kind of wanted to put some lettering on the ribbon at the bottom, but I didn't really come up with anything, so I think it looks okay the way it is. But let me show you some of the elements of this piece up close. Okay, so the bears here, right, they were actually pretty tricky. And so in the previous tutorial, I showed people how, like, what images to use for that type of a work. And so, like, the claws and everything, that was quite difficult, right? But it was okay. And the way that the quilting was on them, I felt like really added to the overall feel of kind of, bear fur, for lack of a better term. And then the shield is just really simple. The duck, I was really pleased with the way that turned out because it was, really close to exactly what I wanted. And then again, the ribbon down here is actually done in two colors to kind of, excuse me, have, kind of a brighter and, more faded in the background to hopefully give that some dimension. And then, what else? Oh, the way that I quilted this, I thought was kind of interesting in that, let me show you up close, right? I did a lot of pebbling on the green cross, right? Which I thought turned out pretty good. And then check out on this part here, kind of the stop border, right? And so I just quilted up and then down, right? And then up and then down and moved it along just to leave like these kind of center circles unquilted and make them kind of pop out. Then additionally, the background I quilted to reflect the plaid, right? The buffalo plaid over here. I wanted the quilting in the main body of it to be similar. And so I kind of did the same idea in that I did zigzag right in the area to kind of press down one square and then leave the neighboring square unquilted. And then press down one square and then leave the neighboring square unquilted. And what else can I show you on this? Oh, I had these little elements here that I actually printed right off my computer. You've seen me do that before. And then in the main border, I don't know if it's showing up for you or not, I did maple leaves. And I thought that was kind of a, staying in a kind of Adirondack kind of motif. But that is essentially, I still consider this an art quilt, but I don't consider it like a full, just image, right? And so for me, my first step is deciding, okay, do I want to do a traditional quilt with, shapes that are put together, or do I want to do something that has some imagery, or do I want the whole thing to be image? And so I think I've decided for the next project, I'm going to do another full image because I really want to, just like I did with the blue palms, which was the last one we looked at, I wanted to do an image that was representative of this time in our lives because it's so kind of historic, right? I mean, we're living in history right now. Something like this hasn't happened to our country in 100 years. So here we are. So I wanted to memorialize this moment with the next quilt, and I think I have an idea, and I'd be happy to show you some of that as we move along. So what I'm doing is on the computer, but you can do all of this simply by tracing as well. So I have these images that I've been working with. Well, the one on the right, the geisha looking into the volcano, that's one that I designed a long time ago, but never actually did. Then I found this new image that my friend just posted on Facebook of this incredible rock formation that really was kind of reminding me, I don't know why, but of this long-necked monk, and you can kind of see his arms coming down just above my friend's head. So I'm going to trace that out just with on my computer here. But again, you could certainly do this on paper and tracing paper. What we're trying to achieve here is essentially scale, right? Because I wanted the scale is so perfect for me. So I wanted to capture the scale of where my friend is under the rock versus kind of this guardian of the universe, if you will. So I'm just going to trace that out and then kind of put that to the side. All right, and then the next thing I'm going to do is essentially now grab the same information, again, just for scale, to understand my human scale. And so I'm going to trace him out and kind of just kind of be able to set them aside and have them on the ready for, again, just comparison's sake and for scale of the work that we're going to be doing moving forward. So I'm just going to trace him out real quick. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. We're just trying to establish scale of this, kind of monk guardian versus the human, life. And so now that I have that, I'm just going to quick change him color so they don't blend in together. And now I can kind of start to work from the image of kind of what I see in here. Now that I have a few of the elements, I'm going to try and grab a few more things from the internet, just keep looking for inspiration to see what I can add in here. The one thing I do want to grab from this image is this kind of mound right here. I see that as kind of a stooped over monk from the back kind of praying. So I really like the scale in relation to the person and the main figure. So I'm just going to grab that real quick as well so that I don't lose the scale of that in comparison to the other items in this image that I really like. So I'm just going to turn that yellow real quick and grab that and then kind of move these into placement and then onto the main canvas to start to collect some more images. Now, this image of the geisha looking into this kind of, I don't know, spider web sky, if you will, I've always found really interesting. I've always wanted to use it in a project, but I haven't done so yet. I originally thought I was going to do this geisha image, but just never did. So I'm going to grab the sky from that because I think that that's really interesting. I'm just going to rotate it real quick and then throw that into the background. And again, I know I'm doing this on the computer, but you can do all of this through tracing and drawing as well. Just find things from the internet that you find interesting and then just trace them out on tracing paper and just keep collecting like a collage of imagery that you find really interesting and just keep placing them together and see how you like. Ooh, I like that way that's fading into the back like that. Okay, that's cool. I like that. All right, so Pinterest is a great place to find things. Here's this monk face that I really like, and so I'm going to save that image to my desktop. So essentially that's it. You just grab items from wherever you find them that are inspiring to you, and then start to collage them together in a way that makes sense to you. So I'm just going to keep going and finding images that I think are interesting. Just
type in random things. Like you can see here, I'm searching for line work, which I always love, line work. Just, you know, lines and different designs and things like that. But then line work crying. Let's see what comes up with that. Just see if there's anything interesting there. There's really not. So I'm just going to go straight to line work design and see if there's anything there that I can use. You know, it's looking like most of these things on Pinterest are more tattoos, which is not really what I want. But let me just scroll through here really quickly, see if there's anything that I can use or that I find interesting to add to essentially my idea board or my kind of preliminary collage of ideas. That one's kind of interesting right there. Maybe I can use it. I'm not sure. It might be too detailed. That's the other thing, is you don't want things that are too detailed, because we're going to have to posterize this or make it essentially just very solid elements in order to make into a quilt. So now we're just going to go to line design. Take out line work, just go to line design, because that's often places where I can find really interesting things. And let's just scroll through here. That's kind of cool. Maybe I can use that. Not quite right. Okay, so those arrows I think are cool, but it's got the wrong feel for me. So I'm just going to keep scrolling through here and maybe see if there's something else that might work. I like that, but anyways, ooh, I like this one. Okay, that's a great background and it's perfect for a quilt. So I'm going to just drag that over to my computer and kind of put it into the idea board. Let me just grab it and flip it around real quick. And then kind of use that as kind of the shadow background, and then kind of just, so I'm going to be doing this for about the next week or so, essentially just grabbing ideas. So just create a collage board, whether it's drawings, clippings, whatever, just start to create an
So
image.
that's how things are kind of going here. I hope that you all are safe and healthy. I hope I'm healthy. Oh my gosh. I really feel like I have a bit of a fever, which is alarming in this time. But we'll see how that goes. Maybe it's just allergies. I've been just sneezing and blowing my nose nonstop as well. So who knows? But we will get through this. And as always, we appreciate your support. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can just hit that subscribe button. That would really help me out. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye.